Hello friends, it's Stamp Ventures with Shauna, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Canada. Welcome to my Tuesday tutorial on Tuesday, August 9th, just a few minutes after 9, about 3 minutes or so. I hope you're having a good, or have had a good Tuesday. Tuesday is just about over here. And yeah. We'll be on to hump day very, very soon. So yeah, today for my Tuesday tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to do a wax paper resist with wax paper and an iron and some embossing folders. And if you happen to catch the title of my video, it says wax paper resist part 1. So I'm going to show you the technique right now today, and then next week, hopefully, I'll have a few cards that I will put together using the results of today's technique. So yeah, so this is just part 1. So hello, and welcome. Do you remember these ads, these Columbia House ads? When I saw this joke, I just burst out laughing. I always remember getting those Columbia House brochures. I don't know if they were tucked in with the Sears catalog or in, I can't even remember if they just came in the mail. Anyways, I always thought, like, this is when I was, a kid and a teen, and I thought, this is just the best deal. Look at all these records or / cassette tapes or DVDs that you can get for however much it was, $1 or something like that. And I'd go through and I'd pick out all the records, the albums that I would want to order, and I could never understand why my mom and dad never subscribed. But yeah, this just made me burst out laughing when I saw this one. Anybody out there that can relate to this? Give me a thumbs up if you're from the era when you saw these Columbia House flyers as well, and you had your whole order picked out. Okay, hello to Roz from Florida. I bet that's probably nice down there, Roz. Roz, sorry, I bet. I'm just guessing. You can let us know what the weather's like down there. Oh, yes, blast from the past. Yeah. Okay. Well, I do have a weather report for here for Moose Jaw. And honest to goodness, today's weather is bottle worthy. And what I mean by bottle worthy is, like, I want to take this day. It was so perfect. I want to package it up and save it in a bottle. And then, sometime in January or February, I want to open that bottle and relive this day, because it's been the most fantastic day I think we've had all summer, and we've had some pretty nice days. We had no wind, like virtually no wind to speak of. We had no clouds in the sky. The sky was just like brilliant, beautiful blue everywhere you looked. And it was sunny, and it was quite warm, but it wasn't atrociously warm. It only got up to, well, maybe 28 or 29 degrees. Okay, it was a little warm, but that was perfect, because I might have been in our backyard in the pool for a bit today. So today's weather report, which is, like I said, bottle worthy, is brought to you, yeah, some of you are probably already guessing this, it's brought to you by the Bottled Happiness Bundle. And yeah, there you can punch out bottles with the punch, and they punch out these stamped images here, or just a plain bottle out of any kind of cardstock, and then they have cute little vintage bottle shaker domes, so you can save something in a bottle. Maybe not the weather, but yeah, that's today's weather report. Okay, so I think a few comments came through, so I'm just going to go back and yeah, blast from the past. And oh, Glenda, you were in it. You were in the Columbia House. Oh, yeah, good memories. Do you remember, Glenda? Did you get like cassette tapes, or did you get records, or DVDs? Tell us what kind of music that you got. What format was your music? Because kids these days, they don't know anything about music, do they? And Roz, you say it's crazy hot and humid like much of the country. Yeah, it's been a warm summer, and I've been reading about how they have drought in a lot of Europe, so it's been a warm one. Okay. Just before I get started, I am going to remind you, celebration is still on. I've got my Sharpie because there are a couple things. I think these hippo dies are still available. One of my customers just ordered them. Stampin' Up! Thought that they were going to run out last week, but they're hanging in there. I'm going to cross out a couple of things that we have run out of, just as a reminder. So the pool party and soft seafoam cards and envelopes are no longer available. And Stampin' Up! Told the leaders that they were shocked at how quickly those ran out. And there's one other thing from this brochure. The tree lot dies with the cute little camper. I think they're going to have to, I don't know, they need to do something to bring this back because it's just too cute. And I would love to be able to do a class with it. But as most of you know, there are new things that Stampin' Up! Has added for celebration rewards. And you can see with the gold circle, it's a level 1 reward. And then with the green circle, it's a level 2 reward. And these are items from the annual and mini catalogs. Just remember, when you want to claim rewards from this flyer, that you have to use these codes on the flyer and not the codes that are in the catalogs, because the codes in the catalogs won't work for celebration for free items. If you have any questions about it, just give me a shout. I believe I've posted this flyer to my Facebook page. Okay, so moving along here. One of these embossing folders is the gingham embossing folder. So I thought, okay, well, we're going to try, first off, doing the embossed resist with the gingham embossing folder because, hey, it's one of the ones you can get for free. So it'll give you an idea of what it looks like using this technique. Now, let me see here. Here's my folder. And it's not one of the extra thick 3D folders. It's just a regular thickness embossing folder. And I found when I was playing around with this technique, like I've got just like it's our Compliments brand wax paper, like from Safeway. I cut it down to, I don't know, like 5 1/4 by 4-ish. When I go to make my cards, I'll probably, trim off some of the excess. But I found that in some cases, the pressure from my cutting and embossing machine was so heavy that it actually like almost made holes in the wax paper because it's fairly thin. So if you find that the embossing folder is a little too aggressive with your wax paper, you could double it up as well, and that might help it to withstand the pressure. So I'm going to put that wax paper, 1 or 2 pieces, you can see what works best for you, in between my folder, and I'm going to pull in the big boss. So there we go, and I'm going to get my levels set up for this. So let me see here. Normally, with I think almost all the embossing, you need to have this platform number 1. And here it shows you in the pictures. I'm using a standard embossing folder, so I'm going to use 2 of the clear plates. If I was using a 3D extra thick embossing folder, then I'd only want to use 1 plate, and that's number 4, and it's a gray plate that would go on top. So Oh, I better push this down. And I have this feeling I'm going to run out of room. So let's move some things there. Okay. And, okay. Platform 1. I should just make sure. Yeah, I guess that wax paper is fairly straight in there. I don't want it to be too crooked. Now I'm getting it worse. See if I can get this lined sort of back up-ish. There. That's pretty close. And then this will just go between the clear plates number 3. And now run it through. Mine has a really good kick at the end. You know that there is lots of pressure when you hear that kick. So now I've got, it's like, I did have 2 pieces, but they're kind of stuck together. The wax kind of holds it together like one thicker piece of wax paper. And now I can pull in. I've got, okay, to be honest, my iron is not plugged in right now. This is going to be the magic of television. I just thought, oh, it's going to be too hard here at my desk to have a hot iron and to keep it safe. But what I did is I worked on my kitchen island and I put down a really thick piece of cardboard, you know, like the ones that you get with some of our specialty paper, or you could put a couple of them down to protect your surface or whatever. Maybe you've even got an ironing board at home. And then the next thing that I did was I took the 2 pieces of white cardstock, again about 5 1/4 by 4, and I layered the wax paper in between, just like that. And then I was worried in case like some of the wax paper, you know, hung over the edge of the white. I didn't want to get the wax melting onto my iron. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just grab a piece of paper towel, put that on top, and then I took my iron and I started to iron and heat up the wax between the layers of the white cardstock. Now I just used the regular white cardstock, not the thick, just the regular. And okay, so you see what I did there? See, it's a good thing we're just using like a not plugged in iron. I should have been more careful, but it'll probably won't do that too, because when it's actually hot, like you're gonna cause those layers of wax to kind of, the wax is going to melt onto the paper, but you want to hold this so that it doesn't move. So you can hold one end and then you can hold the other end. And the one mistake that I made when I first did this, I did a couple of them, and I was like, oh, I didn't want to burn anything. I didn't want to scorch anything. And I took too quick of a time and I didn't melt really any wax. So it takes a good, I don't know, count to, well, I guess it depends on what your setting is on your iron, but like mine's up to like 5 1/2, almost to 6, which is its top setting. I would have, you know, ironed for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 maybe, and then hold it so it doesn't move. As you can see, it's moving on me right now. 1, 2, again, for another 10 seconds, and just make sure one last go over so that it's all, the wax has melted and transferred to the white cardstock. Now, as I mentioned, through the magic of television, I have already, you can't see it. It's impossible from this angle to see if there's wax on there, but there is. And what I discovered is if you take the paper and you hold it up right into the light bulb. Yeah, so you can't see because my light bulb's off to the side. But if you hold it like right up so that the light is shining through it like a flashlight, you can see the pattern there. So I've got a pattern from the one side of the wax paper and I've got a pattern from the other side of the wax paper. So I've got two potential backgrounds right here. And so what I'm going to do is pull in my inks and my blending brushes. So this was one of my very favorite combinations of colors. Soft sea foam and balmy blue. And so we'll just start with this one. It's right here ready to go beside the blue, and I'm going to take and I'm going to load up my brush with lots of balmy blue, but then I'm going to tap it a little bit onto the cardboard or the whatever you're working on. It could be just a grid sheet, just because when you start right into the white paper without having done that, sometimes you get a real blob of ink, and it looks weird. It looks unsettling because there's kind of a, you know, a schmooshy blob. That's a word, schmooshy blob, and it looks different from all the other nice soft color that you're adding. And I'm just going in random kind of shapes. You can see like I've kind of gone in an arc there and a semicircle there, and maybe I'll do a little bit of a circle there, and I'm starting to be able to see the pattern, but I don't know if you can. So I'm going to lift this up a little bit closer to the camera, and hopefully you can see that there is a pattern that's starting to emerge. And that's basically the ink is settling into the cardstock wherever there is no wax, and wherever there is wax, the ink is being resisted. So I'll add just a little bit more blue. Just like so. Oops, there, you can see I went right straight onto there without touching off first, and then it kind of got a bit of a blobby blue. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the soft sea foam. So wherever I don't have the balmy blue, I can go in, and actually I can go over, I can go into areas where like the two of the colors meet and blend them together a little, and then I almost get like a third color. So sort of a bluey green, and maybe I should have used like a darker blue and a darker green just so it would show up better for the camera, but I just love the soft look of this background. These two colors together were so pretty, and it was just by accident. I find when I was doing these backgrounds, and I'm going to show you a bunch more of different embossing folders that I've tried, that if you use colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, then they blend quite nicely. So this doesn't look exactly like the embossing folder. It looks more like a batik. If you like that batik, that sort of Caribbean batik look, that's what this technique tends to accomplish. It looks really, really neat. So this is the one side. Now I'm not going to put color on the entire other side, but I'll put a little bit on, and then you can see if there is a difference, because sometimes like the front and the back is kind of like the innie part and the outie part of the embossing folder. You get a different look depending on which side you're sponging on or you're using your blending brush on. So I just try, and this one's actually pretty similar. So there isn't a whole lot of difference between the front and the back of the gingham. So I'll hold this up just so you can compare. And I did use like the 2 colors on this first one that I did, but you could totally just use 1 color too to create the batik look. Or you could use 3 as well and add in another color. So, okay. Now I'm just going to look and see. I think I saw, let's see. Oh, hello to Brenda. And you still get, just a sec, cassettes. And I was country when country wasn't cool. I love it, Glenda. All right. Okay. And welcome to those who are just hopping on. And Elaine says she'll watch the replay. The video froze for me. Oh, yeah, it does that. Sometimes I don't know why. It's not freezing for me yet, but anyways, okay. So this is the gingham one. Now I have a bunch of others to show you. I'm just going to set this off to the side. I put the sea foam and the balmy blue away, or off to the side there. And I've got some other embossing folders that I tried this technique with. And it's lots of fun because once you do one, it's like, oh, well, how does it work with this one? How will it look with this style of embossing folder? So one of my very favorites that I did was using this Twigs and Sprigs embossing folder and die. Now, I don't know why I did not bring the die out with me, but here's all these little sprigs, and there is actually a die that goes with this that you can, place right in here. And not only does it emboss the little sprigs, but it also cuts them out all in one go. It's really cute. But I just embossed just the paper without cutting out the little pieces. And I loved the look that this one got. To me, it looks just like something you'd see in a Caribbean batik gallery. And there is a slight difference. Here's what it looks like when I did it with... when I put the wax paper through. I don't know how well that is showing up for you. And here's the other side here. And you can see I used those 2 favorite colors again, the blending of the balmy blue and the soft sea foam. And with the one, you really get the outlines of the sprigs. And so to me, this is like the real true batik, because you're kind of getting all these outlines. But I really like the other side too. They're both wonderful, but there is just a slight difference between them once you sit down and look at them a little bit more carefully. So that was one of my very favorites, the Twigs and the Sprigs. That is just awesome. And then, let me see, which one next did I like? Oh, I really liked the quatrefoil tile. I was trying to think of the name of this embossing folder the other day when I was doing a video, and I could not think of it. But this is a new one, just starting in, when did this catalog start? May, I guess. And it's a really nice repetitive design, just kind of like the gingham is repetitive. And so I put it through with the wax paper. I think this was just one piece. And let's see, here's one that I did with balmy blue and fresh freesia and a little bit of gorgeous grape. And then here was the other side. So they're very similar again. But it's kind of, I think it's just kind of like looking at the negative of one another, because here you've got the white lines are solid, and here you've got the white lines that are outlines. That's not what I want to say. Okay, so this is like a mosaic shape. Here the mosaic shape is outlined in white, and here the mosaic shape is outlined in color with white edging. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but I really liked this one. This was a fun one to use too. Okay, so then one of my very first experiments was with the Melody embossing folder, Mary Melody. And this is an example of what not to do. So first of all, I I didn't nearly heat the paper long enough. So you can see this one, the bottom piece, had nothing that really transferred at all in terms of wax. So I should have heated it much longer. And the other thing I found out is the one side of the music will always be like backwards, mirror image backwards. So when I was looking at this, I was like, yeah, all those stems are totally on the wrong side of the musical note. But to me, it almost looks like hieroglyphics. So if you were going to do like an Egyptian card with hieroglyphics, you could use the wrong side of the merry melody to get the hieroglyphics looking. But this one would be the right side. But again, I just didn't iron it long enough to transfer the heat like it should have. Okay, so yeah, but doesn't that look cute? The merry melody, having gone through the embossing folder, it looks great on the wax paper. What else did I try? Oh, okay. So then I tried the brick and mortar 3D, and I was quite pleased with this. Here's one side of the brick and mortar, and I used pumpkin pie and crumb cake. So again, it's got that batik look, really cool, almost like, sort of looks like cartoonish, like a wall. And now what I decided to do, instead of having already pre-colored the other side, I thought, okay, I'm just going to grab put the other one down, and we'll add a quick burst of color, and we'll see what the other side of the bricks and mortar embossing folder looks like, is see if there's a noticeable difference. So this is going to be pretty wild. I'm just going to do it in the middle so I don't get ink all over my, oh, it looks very similar. So I don't get ink all over my catalog. I'll just do it in the middle here. Whoa, that's a real quick burst of color. So actually they look pretty much the same. They're very, very similar in the patterns from the front and the back of the wax paper. Okay, and finally, my last one. I was really doubtful that I'd get anything worthwhile from this Time Worn Type 3D, because it's not a consistent pattern. It's kind of sketchy and it's hard to read at the best of times. And I'm like, I don't know. And it kind of, in a lot of ways, does look like chicken scratch. But here I used Balmy Blue and Fresh Freesia, and I did it in really light colors. And it's just a soft background. It's hard to even tell really that it's letters. Yeah, we could call it the chicken scratch instead. But again, with this one, I thought, okay, instead of me already having done the color on here on the other side, I'm going to quickly add a burst of color and just see, we'll compare them to see if the front part of the wax paper resist looks to the same as the piece that was on the back of the wax paper. So, burst of color. Oh my gosh. I think this is a completely different language altogether. Okay, it looks like one of those like Middle Eastern languages. Oh, this is like, I don't know what to call it. It's crazy. Oh, but there, I think I can see some words in there too now. Wow. That's very cool. Okay. So kind of a different look, where this one seems to have individual little letters that I think are maybe backwards. This one has, you can barely make out letters that actually are English letters, but then the other parts in there are pretty crazy looking. So I just had so much fun with this technique that I thought, I gotta show this to you. And so next, my challenge for over the week. Okay, I've got 7 days. You can do this, Shauna. I am going to see if I can come up with a couple of cards. I don't know how many I'll make, but I want to use some of these on some cards because I do need to make some thank you cards, and I need some cards for a variety of things. And yeah, I'll see what I come up with, what I can create, and I will share with you next week what it is that I've created. So if you get a chance, pull out your wax paper, your iron, your regular thickness of white cardstock, and your embossing folders. Give it a try. It's a super fun technique. Lots and lots of fun to play with. And if you this is only just a handful, a few of the embossing folders in our catalog. If you find one that's really, really cool and you like the design that comes out of it, share it with me. Show it to me in a picture, send me a message, or post it on Facebook. I'd love to see what you do with this technique, because it is a whole lot of fun. So let me take one last look. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Judy, thanks. I'm glad you love it. Yeah, there's some pretty cool color combinations here. This one was like really bright. I think it was like pumpkin pie, daffodil delight, a little bit of flirty flamingo, and I threw in some melon mambo. So that one was really like, whoa, put your sunglasses on for that one. But yeah, this is I just feel like I'm just kind of scratching the surface with some of the color combinations. And like I said, love to see which combinations of colors and embossing folders that you use. And I will try next week to be back and have some cards that I've created with all these wax resist backgrounds. That'll be part 2. And thanks again for all who have tuned in. Hello, Deb. Glad you could just hop on here. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys again another time. And have a great rest of the week. Stay cool, everyone, and enjoy these last bit of summer days. Bye for now.